An awful lot going on. Obviously, we're kind of getting pushed back out of this parking lot. We were trying to get closer to the actual scene where this plane is crashed, of course, according to our sources. If you can look way down there, that is where the action is. That is where you see a lot of those flames that we've seen in videos as well. We've talked to several people as we've walked to this area talking about they heard an explosion. They felt the explosion. They felt a shake.
I want to show you now some door cam video into our newsroom from a neighborhood, and there you see it right there. So disturbing because now we know what that is, and the plume of smoke and fire.
This is the first time we are seeing the video of the plane actually going down right there.
Wow.
Going down in the ground, and then the flames and the smoke emitting.
And you see the timestamp on that video too, showing you when that happened.
That impact massive.
And this is a new piece of video that we're seeing here. You can see what looks like debris in the area, probably within closer proximity. Things still on fire right there, and the fire department right there responding to it. We know that in addition to a firefighting staging area, we also have PGW, PECO, and the water department on the scene as well.
I just spoke with the spokesperson for the company, Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, and they confirmed that they do not believe there are any survivors on this plane. They have confirmed that there were 6. 4 of those were crew. 1 was a minor who was a patient, and then that patient's guardian. They were actually all Mexican nationals and were headed back to Tijuana today. And it's unclear if the pilots there had taken off previously from the airport in the Northeast, but they're very experienced pilots is what I'm told. They fly about 600 flights each year, and so they're saying that this is very rare and that it comes as a big shock to them that this would have happened.
One man I met, he actually had a camera on his dash cam, and it was rolling at the time of the crash. He shared that video with us in the car. They went from talking just common conversation. He was picking up his mom and his wife from getting their nails done to, in an instant, seeing that crash happen, seeing debris hit their car. He says he froze in that moment, unsure of what to do next. And then he says he looked up and he saw the people were injured nearby. Here, he describes what happens next.
There was a red pickup truck next to me in the line. I saw a kid with a massive head cut. I gave the shirt off my back just to help him.
A lot of questions surround both the aircraft involved in last night's deadly crash and the company that owns it. The NBC 10 investigators have been digging into the history of both. Investigative reporter Claudia Vargas joins us now with what she found out. Claudia?
Right, Tracy. Well, the medical airplane that crashed Friday night was registered in Mexico and had a Mexican crew. That just makes it more challenging to find safety information on that precise aircraft. But we do have some new details on the type of aircraft and the Florida-based company that owns and operates it. The medical airplane that took a nosedive seconds after takeoff had just flown earlier in the day Friday without issue. Flight radar records show that the Jet Rescue Learjet 55 had taken off from Miami at noon on Friday and landed at Philadelphia's Northeast Airport at 2:27 p.m. The aircraft refueled and took off again at 6:06 p.m. It was headed to Springfield, Missouri, but never made it. The airplane's final destination was Tijuana, Mexico. Here's the last communication the airplane had with the air traffic controllers.
Medevac, Med Service 056, on departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 25010. Medevac, Med Service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8. 123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you, good day.
Sounded like a normal takeoff. Was given, an altitude and heading, and then given the frequency change. The pilot, from what I heard, responded to the frequency change, and then communication was lost with the aircraft.
Dennis O'Hara was an air traffic controller for decades and is familiar with the air traffic in Northeast Philadelphia Airport. He says that based on what he heard and has seen in videos, something catastrophic must have happened.
There was no communication from the aircraft itself that there was any kind of problem. So that leads me to believe that it was something that was immediate in nature and probably extremely destructive in some way. Because typically if an aircraft comes off and has a problem on a departure, you'll get a call saying that they have an issue and will ask for a return to the airport.
We requested from Jet Rescue the aircraft's most recent inspection reports, but company spokesman Shai Gold declined. He said the company would be sharing those with the NTSB as it investigates the cause of the crash. Jet Rescue's Learjet 55 was registered with Mexico's Civil Aviation Agency. It's unclear if that specific medical airplane has had any issues in the past. It did not show up in the FAA's crash data we reviewed, but that data is only for U.S. incidents. In November of 2023, one of Jet Rescue's similar modeled medical airplanes crashed upon landing at a Mexican airport, killing all 5 crew members. It's unclear how many medical airplanes the company has in its fleet.
I can tell you that our company is probably one of the most experienced air ambulance companies in the Americas. We do between 600 and 700 flights a year.
We did find that one of its other medical planes, a Learjet 35A, has been flying domestically and internationally in the past week, seemingly without issues.
And that was the case, too, with the medical airplane that crashed Friday. In the days leading up to the crash, they had actually been flying through the U.S., Haiti, and Mexico.
Which sounds like a lot, but that's pretty typical for these air ambulances?
It is. That's what they specialize in. They transport patients internationally, from neonatal care to burn victims, organ transplants also. And so while we don't know what the little girl was here for, we do know that she was here with her mother. They had just finished treatment, and they were supposed to be heading back home to Mexico.
We have spent the day here in Northeast Philly, and depending on where you're going, it can still be a bit of a challenge to get around. Now, we are on Bustleton right now. That road is open, but it's still a bit of a dividing line. Over here on the Roosevelt Mall side, this area, the businesses are still closed, while on the other side of the road, businesses are open, but the area, the neighborhood, still recovering.
From the air, you can see behind the barricades in Northeast Philadelphia. The Roosevelt Mall and the businesses still shut down as investigators work to figure out what happened when a plane crashed here last Friday.
Many lives in Philadelphia have been impacted. As you look at the crash zone, people in the hospital, we look at people removed from their homes, businesses that have been shut down. There has been a substantial impact that's taken place here in your city.
On the ground, the neighborhood still recovering.
The traffic patterns and everything have changed. They have everything closed off down the street. You know, people are a little nervous. It's been a little wild.
Jason McGowan is the general manager at Steve's Prince of Steaks at Bustleton and St. Vincent.
This is probably a place where people stop for a quick lunch. It's not so easy to get around right now. How's that impacting you?
Nah, that's been tough, but we also have, you know, all the guys working out there. We have the cops, the firefighters, the NTSB, all the investigators. So they stop in and, you know, grab something quick to eat. You know, maybe they get 15, 20 minutes. They come in, eat, and they're back out there doing the job.
McGowan says they are fortunate, but he knows other businesses will need help. Throughout the area, some roads are still blocked off, some businesses still closed. Pizza Roma is back open after a closure this weekend.
We were shut down on Saturday because they weren't sure if any gas was contaminated and had to shut down the gas in the area and make sure everything was good.
Scott Myers was here when the crash happened.
Are you able to sort of push it out of your mind, or is it something that's just kind of back there?
No, it's still back there because I live right across the boulevard, right across where it happened. So I was like, wow, you know, what if it was on my street?
This is in the heart of my district.
Councilmember Mike Driscoll represents this area.
Are you still trying to figure out exactly what the true impact on the community is here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're sorting that every day and communicating.
He knows it's tough for residents, workers, businesses dealing with what happened and not knowing how long the aftermath will last. He's urging patience.
They have bills to pay, and these small businesses have bills to pay. We get it. And so, you know, I know the mayor and the governor know how important it is, so we'll get this open as soon as we can.
And we mentioned that now if you work or have a business inside this area, the Roosevelt Mall area, you can get in, but there is a process to that. You'll have to show an ID, and then an officer will escort you inside. Live in Northeast Philadelphia, I'm Lauren Make, NBC 10 News.
This is NBC 10 News.
We continue to bring you updates on the deadly medical jet crash in Northeast Philadelphia that happened Friday. The NBC 10 investigators have been digging into the backgrounds of the pilots who were flying the rescue jet and the requirements to fly that type of aircraft.
Yeah, and investigative reporter Claudia Vargas joins us now. Claudia, you have some information about the NTSB looking into the pilot certifications.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The pilots who are flying that Learjet 55 are from Mexico, and so they were registered in Mexico. So when we started looking into their certification and looked at the FAA records, they were either non-existent or just didn't really match up to the job that they were doing. But we've since found out that international pilots don't actually have to register with the FAA. There's an international organization that certifies them and oversees and sets the standard for global aviation.
As the NTSB gathers evidence on the ground, other investigators have also been digging into records elsewhere.
They're looking at the pilot records. They're looking at the training records of the crew. They're probably going to go with the last flight simulator.
Patrick Hempen recently retired as the director of the FAA's Aviation Accident Investigation Unit. He says the investigation into the cause of the Learjet 55's quick nosedive into the ground is a team effort.
The NTSB and the FAA do parallel investigations simultaneously. They're together. And the NTSB has lead.
Hempen tells us that the NTSB is looking at probable cause, and the FAA is in the background looking at how they can improve operational safety by what happened with this accident. The NTSB shared with the NBC 10 investigators that the company that owned the airplane, Jet Rescue, was authorized to operate in U.S. airspace. The agency also tells us that the Mexican pilots have the proper licensing required to fly a Learjet 55, and they were certified to fly in inclement weather. We shared the pilot's credentials with Hempen.
Yeah, I saw no red flags. I looked at it and I said, if I was ramp checking that aircraft, that's exactly what I want to see.
Jet Rescue tells us that the pilots had years of experience flying in the U.S. and internationally. The pilot had 8,700 hours and the co-pilot 2,600 hours of flight time. Hempen says that international pilots fly in U.S. airspace all the time and vice versa. The International Civil Aviation Organization sets global standards for flying.
We rely on each government, and they rely on us to do the correct licensing and to have the correct training and certification.
The FAA does spot checking at airports to ensure pilots have proper certificates.
And they will walk over to the aircraft and they'll ask to see the pilot's license, medical, and aircraft registration, airworthiness certificates, look at the load manifest, those kinds of things.
And Hempen shared that when flying a Learjet, there is a quick checklist of things that have to happen right after takeoff. So he says that perhaps that did not happen, or maybe that it was instrumental failure.
We continue now our coverage from the deadly medical jet crash in Northeast Philadelphia. The city has now identified the victim who was killed in a car on Cotman Avenue. This is Stephen Druitt. He was 37 years old. His partner Dominique and son were also in the car. They were driving to Macy's at the Roosevelt Mall.
And today, the community has also taken several steps forward on the road to recovery. The Roosevelt Mall fully reopened around noon today. St. Vincent Street has also reopened to neighbors. And leaders have announced that a resource center will open tomorrow as a one-stop location for services.
We have live team coverage with more on the community's recovery and how they're honoring the victims. We begin with NBC 10's Siobhan McGurl. Siobhan, I know you have breaking details of the reopening of Cotman Avenue, which is another significant step on the road to recovery.
Tracy, we were standing here just minutes ago when police reopened Cotman Avenue. We saw the crews working all day, and now, for the first time since that deadly crash Friday night, traffic is flowing here again. The Roosevelt Mall also reopened today. Signs of progress, though people we met here stressed the healing continues.
The pain is evident. The sorrow is evident. You could feel it.
A heartbroken mother and daughter returning to Cotman Avenue, clutching flowers. Days after the deadly medical jet crash here, it is clear there is still a heaviness in the air, roads blocked, and plenty of damage to repair. But there are also signs of progress. We watched as police packed up barriers once lining the parking lot for the Roosevelt Mall, pushing out the barricades, taking down the tape, and letting traffic flow in and out for the first time since Friday night.
Some customer will be here for us.
The team at this beauty store at the mall is still recovering. You can see in surveillance video, the crash caused the front of the store to shake, debris shattering their front window. After being closed for days, Their window is boarded up, and they are eager to see customers again.
We needed something for what the coworker is working here, and we have to get some more money.
This salon manager was also thankful to welcome customers back.
We're glad to be back and open and trying to get back to normal as much as we can.
First glimpses at normalcy, not just for businesses, but for people who live near the crash site. Police opened the perimeter at St. Vincent Street, letting cars drive through again.
Well, we're learning more about the final hours of the girl and her mom and the flight crew that were killed in Friday's plane crash.
In an exclusive interview with our NBC 10 investigators, the ambulance crew who transported the girl, her mom, and the flight crew to the airplane shares those final moments. Joining us now is investigative reporter Claudia Vargas. Claudia, what did the crew have to say?
Well, Johnny, they're still in disbelief that the patient and crew they transported and saw depart perished in that fiery plane crash. They shared that the mom was looking forward to going home after spending several months here with her daughter receiving care.
For EMT Alex Salas and paramedic Victor Benitez, Friday's afternoon dispatch seemed routine enough.
We were just dispatched to Shriners to take the crew and the patient from Shriners here to Philadelphia Northeast Airport.
When they arrived to Shriners, they met the patient, a little girl named Valentina, and her mom, Lizette.
And we got the patient on board. The staff was super happy. They were sad because she was leaving, but they were happy because she was finally going home, especially the mom.
The airplane's doctor and paramedic also met them at the hospital. Then, Alex got in the driver's seat of the ambulance and drove to the airport.
On the way over here, they were in the back talking about the little girl, talking about Mexico. And
were they excited to go home, or what was the mood?
Yeah, they were all excited to go, especially the mom, because she was down here for so long.
The girl had spent 5 months at Shriners Children's Hospital in Philadelphia receiving medical treatment. She was supposed to head back home to Mexico. Once Alex and Victor arrived to the airport, they found the airplane on the tarmac, and Victor snapped this picture. They loaded the girl onto the airplane's gurney.
We were joking with the pilot, talking about the Super Bowl.
They jokingly asked the pilot if he would come back to fly them all to the Super Bowl once he dropped off the girl and mom.
I believe the paramedic was the one that came to close the door. He kind of fisted us a goodbye, thank you. And then the pilot looked over to him and gave him like a little salute to leave, goodbye. And then that was it. They closed the door.
Alex says that about 10 minutes later, they saw the jet rescue airplane take off and fly right over them. Shortly after that, they heard about a big fire on Cotman Avenue.
Later on, our boss calls us to tell us that, unfortunately, it was our patient that we just loaded.
What was that like for you?
It was like a punch in the gut. You just like we were just interacting with them, joking.
They later discovered that the crew had left one oxygen tank in their ambulance. They plan to give it back to the company, but until then, it is a sad reminder of what happened.
We were so happy for them, and the little girl going home, and unfortunately it wasn't so.
Just so sad. Now, both Alex and Victor tell me that the reason they wanted to share their story with us was so that the families of the crew and the mom and the little girl would know that they were so happy and just so hopeful leaving the hospital, getting on the airplane. And so those were the final moments that they hope people will remember that they were,
That's
feeling.
very sweet for them to want for that for the family.
To hear those two, essentially the last two people to see them alive.
Yep.
All right, Claudia, thank you.
Tonight, we are hearing from the family of 10-year-old Andre Howard III. Trey, as he's called, is being hailed a hero after he protected his sister from shards of debris that came raining down during the crash. Trey currently recovering at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. NBC 10's Yukari Nakayama spoke to his family this morning. She joins us from the newsroom. Yukari, how's Trey doing?
Yeah, well, Fred, the family tells me Trey is making strides in his recovery. He's able to talk and communicate with them. They also tell me when he woke up from brain surgery, that little hero's concern was the safety of his sister. The outpouring support from strangers and his idols have helped in his recovery.
Trey's making progress. He's surprising us all, He's making a lot of progress.
Trey's grandfather, Sean Hamill, has been by his side since the beginning. Sean describes his grandson as strong and brave. And when the 10-year-old woke up from brain surgery, his first concern was his little sister.
He was talking to his dad, and did he save his sister? And that kind of touched his dad's heart because his father was going through a lot.
Trey was in the car with his father and two siblings when he was hit in the head by a piece of debris. He shielded his sister from the danger. His heroic actions praised by his idols like A.J. Brown from the Eagles.
He's a hero. Shout out to his parents.
You know, they raised a hero.
And even got a visit from Sixers Tyrese Maxey.
They made his day. They helped bring his spirits up, and I want to thank them.
The family grateful to all those who've been helping Trey, especially a stranger who took the shirt off his back to help. That man, Michael Hitchner.
I took my shirt off, gave to him, said, press this against his head. I'm going to go try to find an EMT or police officer.
Michael says he was driving home with his family last Friday when he saw that explosion. He then ran out of his car to help anyone he could. Trey's grandfather very grateful for Michael's actions.
I don't know his name. We've been trying to find out, but he was a hero also because he took the shirt off his back and helped Trey save my grandson's life.
Michael has been concerned for Trey ever since. He shares a message he hopes reaches that little hero.
Dude, you did good. No matter what anyone else says, you're going to be probably the best human being on this planet.
Now, Trey's family is actually in the process of contacting Michael to thank him for his actions. They tell me they're hopeful Trey will get healthier and that these kinds of messages are what helps in the recovery process. Here in the newsroom, Yukari Nakayama, NBC 10 News.
We are all pulling for Trey. Thank you, Yukari.
Today marks 1 week since a medical jet went down in Northeast Philadelphia, killing 7 people. Over the last several days, we have seen signs of progress with businesses returning, roads reopening, and the crater left behind at the crash site now filled in. NBC 10's Siobhan McGurl is joining us live along Cottman Avenue as that recovery continues. Siobhan.
The recovery does continue here in Northeast Philadelphia, especially for the people who live here. You look across the street, you see homes, businesses boarded up, some destroyed. Now, a week later, people who live in the neighborhood, they tell me they are still trying to process what happened and what happens next.
It's very hard, having nightmares every night, keep experiencing, seeing that little girl. It's hard.
Pasquale Dudley lives just feet away from where a medical jet crashed along Cottman Avenue, the fiery impact forcing him to escape. 1 week later, he was allowed back inside his home for the first time. His father telling us walking inside felt unreal.
They was able to get some pictures. This going back in there, this brought back some trauma because all the walls is ripped out. When we went in the bedroom, you can see the whole roof of the bedroom is cut out.
With their home destroyed, that young family is receiving help as they search for a new place to live, one of so many in the neighborhood forever changed by this tragedy.
I'm still processing it. I'm trying, but I'm still processing. It is very hard.
With roads now open, some people were walking through the area for the first time, finding boarded up windows, shattered glass. Tape still surrounds this home. You can see the entire top floor is exposed. The damage is extensive.
I feel sorry for the people who've lost family. My heart and prayers are with them.
Many remembering those 7 people, 6 on board the jet and 1 man on the ground, killed here last week. At least 24 others injured, several still in the hospital.
I hope to feel better and get well.
It's going to be a process.
This woman said she was still in shock as she showed us her blown out windows, stressing that the healing will take time.
Just trying to get back to some normalcy.
Back here live along Cottman Avenue, you can see police do still have 1 lane blocked off traffic with the area of that crash site, the area where that crater is still fenced in. As for what caused this crash, the NTSB investigation, of course, continues off-site. In Northeast Philadelphia, I'm Siobhan McGurl, NBC 10 News.
The medical jet crash in Northeast Philadelphia happened 1 week ago today, and the events of that day are something we will never forget.
The crash killed 7 people on the jet, including a young girl who had just received life-saving medical treatment at Shriners Hospital, and a man driving on Cottman Avenue with his partner and son also died.
And that night we heard from witnesses and people whose lives will be changed forever. This is their story of pain, bravery, and resilience.
Medevac Med Service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you, good day.
I go down and I'm going to turn on to Cottman. All of a sudden you just hear this.
We have a lost aircraft.
And I'm frozen for like 2-3 seconds. And then debris starts hitting my car. And my mom and my wife are panicking. I'm like, I can't back up because I got people behind me.
I heard a big accident, like a crash, and I thought it was like tractor trailer or something.
Because out of nowhere, it was just this big boom, and you could just see flames.
I heard, what sounded like a missile. Later found out it was a plane, and then you heard the explosion.
Oh my God, what happened?
A medical jet plummeted from the sky like a missile into the Earth's surface. 6 Mexican nationals on board killed, including an 11-year-old girl who just received life-saving treatment at China's Children's Hospital over the past 4 months. Another man in his car was also killed.
We have 2 different fire scenes. I got a fire scene on Cottman between Rupert and Leonard, and there's another scene behind the mattress firm. It looks like part of that aircraft landed on one of the residential properties.
Oh my goodness. So I ran outside and I just heard people screaming and just blood-curdling screams. Threw my shoes on, ran out the door.
Oh my God!
Started seeing everything on fire. It looked like a war zone. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was kind of like a dream, it was just so surreal.
Is they okay? It was just so much going on. There was some people running and screaming, and everybody get down, get back, and don't move. And I was just trying to get home since I live around the corner from here. I was about to run.
Y'all, a plane just crashed on Cottman Ave, y'all.
Every car on the street was engulfed in flames. The house was in flames, and like the smoke, even when it happened, it just looked like something from a movie. How big the flames was, how loud it was, and it just sad. It really is.
I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was a bomb or something. And then when we, you see it, then it just went straight down the block. It just tore the cars up, went into the houses, and it was just ricocheting up and down the block.
A lot of the stuff I saw today, I wish I didn't. I'm shell-shocked. I saw parts of bodies. I saw bodies. I saw a car burned to a crisp that had a baby seat in the back.
That seemingly normal night became a nightmare. About a 5-block span of Northeast Philadelphia almost unrecognizable. Now a field of fire, debris, and destruction.
It was literally calm to chaos instantly. There was no warning of anything.
That house totally burned it, It was terrible. It was terrible, man.
I saw a kid with a massive head cut. I gave the shirt off my back just to help him. I ran back to my car. I got rags, anything I could find in my dad's car. And I'm taking it there. I'm giving them out to whoever needs them.
Even in the darkest of times, Philadelphians come through when others are in need.
I ran towards the fires trying to see if I could help anybody. I found someone who was, she walked out of the fire, literally.
Honestly, it was like an adrenaline that ran through my body. I just wanted to be able to help. If there was anything I could have did to assist, I would do anything to help another person's life.
And each day that passes, Northeast Philadelphia will continue to heal, but the pain, the images, and trauma will never be forgotten.
This is something that you'll never forget. It's going to impact a lot of people. It has impacted a lot of people, and it's going to stay with people for a long time.
But, there's something about situations like this that really just bring communities together and lean on each other to, pick back up and continue this life.
Yeah, horrifying night for so many people, but out of that night, so many heroes emerged that helped complete strangers in a time of need.